Gracious God, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts be acceptable now in your sight, for you are our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. We begin this month over the next 2 Sundays to talk about our fall financial campaign. And we have entitled that campaign, Seeking Something Better. I hope you all have a pledge card in your bulletin. You also received a letter this week. We'll be talking about that, and on the next to the last Sunday, the 22nd of November, we encourage you that by that time to please come and bring your gifts and your pledges for the new year. Every time I get up to preach a sermon about money or about giving, I'm reminded of a great story that Bishop Goodson told, Bishop Kenneth Goodson. He was a wonderful man, great preacher and great teacher. And he tells the story, he said when he was living in Greensboro and serving a great Centenary United Methodist Church there, that his grandson's birthday was coming up. His grandson was 7 or 8, young man, and he asked his grandson what he wanted for his birthday. His grandson said he wanted a globe. He was studying geography in school and wanted a globe, so Bishop Goodson, like a good granddaddy, said he went downtown to the department store and talked to the clerk, and they finally found a globe that was a nice-sized globe in a big box, and he purchased it for his grandson. Said it was a little bit more than he wanted to spend on that globe, but it was for his grandson. And they had the birthday party, and of course it was the biggest box, and all the other presents got opened first, and then they opened that box, and the young grandson said, "Oh, well, this is so great, Granddaddy, but I really wanted one that had a light in it. I wanted a globe that had a light in it." So Granddaddy did the right thing to do. He packaged it up. He took it back to the store. He returned it. They finally found one with a light in it that glowed really nice. He said, and that cost him even more money. So he took it to the grandson, and he loved it, and at night he'd cut it on as he fell asleep, and there was the glowing world. Bishop Goodson said he was kind of driving away from the house a little bit grumpy about it because he had spent all that money on this globe and taken all his time and effort and so forth. And he said, and then he had one of those revelatory moments. He says, you know, but a illuminated world costs more. An illuminated world costs more. What is our task as brothers and sisters? It is to illuminate this world with love and care. The great prophet Micah boils it down to just 3 simple but powerful principles. God has shown you what God requires: to do justice, to love mercy, to walk humbly with your God. To do justice, to love mercy, walk humbly with your God. We've needed a lot of mercy this past week in our community. Terrible tragedy befell a family that so many people in this community knew. Children who attended school with the young ones who were killed there. We absolutely cannot wrap our minds around why. It was a mental illness that came upon the father and completely drove him to an insane, violent act. We've needed a lot of mercy. We've needed a lot of love. And in the midst of this great tragedy, it certainly brings us again to that understanding that we are to walk humbly in this world. We don't know what's going to happen. Our brothers and sisters down in Fort Hood, Texas, an officer, a person who worked in mental health, certainly the very last possible person that you would ever suspect of taking innocent lives. Best for us to walk humbly in this world. United Methodist Church has launched a new media campaign. It's called Rethink Church. Rethink who we are. Well, I don't think we need so much need to rethink who we are in this church as we need to just do a real good job of being who we are. Talk to our MYF counselors, and next weekend is pilgrimage. That's when kids from all over the state come to Fayetteville. We're going to have over 3,500 Methodist young people out at the Crown Center, one of the biggest youth evangelism meetings in the state. And we're going to have 3 other churches, kids staying here with us next weekend. There'll be going to be over 60 MYFers here in the church. If you want to hear a good noise, come down next Saturday. Isn't that great? We're going to host them. We're going to love them. Our MYF rock band is going to play for them. And we're excited about making those connections. We want something better. We want something better for our own spiritual lives so that we won't be destroyed or completely pulled apart by the great tragedies of our world. We want something better for our children and grandchildren, and we continue to provide that wonderful daycare, great program for children and youth. We want something better for our church. There was a while there that I worked as a church consultant in addition to being a local church pastor, and I was tutored by a man named Ken Callahan. He was one of the great church gurus of the 1980s and 90s. Spent a lot of time with him. And he asked a provocative question every time he met with a group of people. And I'll ask it to you this morning. I want you to meditate on it a little bit. And the question is, do you believe that the best years of the church are ahead of us? Be honest. We hear a lot about, the day when the Sunday school was full and the sanctuary was full and this was happening and that was happening, and all seems to be in the past. And we wonder sometimes, is all that we're doing now just keeping up? But Wesley's vision was to be made perfect in love, that we are growing. We want something better. We want something better for our church. We want something better for our spiritual lives. We want something better for our children. We want something better for our world. What does the Lord require of you? But to do justice, love mercy, walk humbly with your God.